Hello and welcome, everyone. We are here again today, and we are going to do some coding. C# and JavaScript both is the plan today. For anyone who read the description here on this video, the plan, at least here starting out, is that I want to start off by doing a little bit of reviewing of a couple of pull requests that we received on one of our projects. So for anyone who doesn't know, if you are interested in getting involved in any of our projects, writing code with us, getting that code reviewed on stream and integrated into one of our projects, the best way to do that is to check out our GitHub account. All the code that we do here on stream is actually stored out on our GitHub account at github.com/DevChatter. So go ahead and take a look there if you want to see the code that we are working on. That's actually what I've got up here on screen right now. And the pull request that we are planning on reviewing is this one. So this is what we're going to take a look at first. And Mage there trying out our hype command there, so it's getting a little crazy. Ah! Anyway, so that hype command is something that we started building here on stream. And our nice viewer here made a couple of changes too. So that's actually what's running on my computer right now, is the new version of the hype, which is what we're reviewing the code for right here. After we're done reviewing this pull request, my plan for the rest of our stream today is to spend some time cleaning up some of our code. So we're going to do a bit of refactoring, try and nice things up a little bit. And I alluded to the idea of clean architecture, which is something I've talked about here on the stream before. Clean architecture is it's a term that is used to describe a a model of structuring your code, and it's got a bunch of names, and all of these different architectures are basically following the same general concept. They just have a couple of slightly different rules. And their names are a little different. They're usually called either clean architecture or onion architecture, hexagonal architecture, or ports and adapters. These are all names for trying to do the same kind of thing. And the goal is, of course, having all of your dependencies go in towards a core that has no dependencies on anything external. And so that's kind of the idea, is flipping it around so that your code depends on things that are easily, how to phrase this, that both are less likely to change, but also easy to change when you need to. So that's some of the idea here. So we're going to start moving a little bit more towards that. We already have a lot of progress on that. We built from the ground up knowing that we were going to want to keep the architecture in this project clean, but along the way you get little things here and there. Everyone's code gets little bits of stuff that we have to come back and tidy up from time and again. So we're going to be doing some of that today. Okay, so, I just realized I didn't do the introduction completely. So welcome to DevChatter, everyone. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy everything we do here and the community. Feel free to talk in chat. There are a whole bunch of people here that are awesome, and we'll chat with you about other interesting dev stuff. My name is obviously Brendan, as it's right down here, and that's my Twitter right there. And you can find me in a lot of places on the internet under the name Brendonius. And yeah, if you want to chat with a bunch of us afterwards, things like that, I also recommend people join our Discord, which is a place where many of us go and talk about different programming-related things. So we discuss different bits about the language, programming challenges, other stuff like that. It's quite fun. Discord, if you don't know, is a chat application, kind of like Slack, but more commonly used by developers and Twitch streamers. Okay, let me make sure that nobody said anything important in chat. Bunch of greetings, SNB, Batman, hello. Triple Diamonds, I saw you follow earlier. Welcome, thanks for following. Mage, Coated Beard, welcome, Hellosia. And I think that's everybody that said hi, but hello everybody, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. Don't want to spend all our time chatting. Okay, so we got an awesome pull request from D. Curtin, and it has some really cool stuff in it. I did a little bit of back and forth, requested some changes, other things like that, made some suggestions for some things, and Dalton really came through and has some awesome code here, so I hope that, I'm guessing he showed up and is here while we review this. So the couple of interesting things here. So one of the first changes on the overlay, notice that he started passing the canvas into the sprite. So I actually suggested this. I think it is the way to go here. So the idea is that the sprite, when updating, is going to know the surface that it's on. It's going to know the space it has to work with and what it's in. So when it needs to update what it's doing, this is what it has to work with. So I thought that made sense as a parameter for updating. For rendering, it renders onto a context, so that's why that one was already passed as a parameter. So when you update yourself, you need to consider the space you're in, and when you render yourself to the context on that. So that's kind of the way that context to canvas work in HTML. So that's why we pass those that way. I will full disclosure here, I am not an expert on clean architecture within JavaScript. I know a lot about clean architecture in C#, not JavaScript, but I still know a decent amount about how to keep code kind of clean, so we're sort of going with that. Okay, so here is the change. So right here, he added in a mod, which mod here is just short for a modifier, and this is a modifier to the speed of these. Just a reminder for what we're working on, so that everybody knows, this right here, this craziness that's going on the screen, that is what we're changing. And I appreciate the follow, but I can't see it. I just covered it with hypes. but thanks for the follow all the same. So that is actually what we're working on, is that piece. Now, the goal is not for it to only ever be those hype icons flying around. We want to be able to handle other stuff, but we're starting with that, of knowing that basic concept, and we can make all these hypes go flying everywhere. So it works pretty well. You'll notice it spawns a whole bunch of those. They're going in different directions at different speeds and hitting the edges and bouncing off and other things like that. Looks great. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do that with more than just the hype emote. I want to be able to have that do that with a bunch of different emotes so we can do some other interesting things. So, for example, I want to maybe make it so that any emote someone uses in chat could show up there, and other cool stuff like that that we can toss on the overlay and do interesting things with. Okay, so right here we have this .mod equals either the mod we passed in, or if we didn't pass one in, it's going to get a random modifier. So that'll set that value. I'm pretty sure we can get rid of this value. He has left this in here for now, but I may merge this in and then remove it. The get random direction, did he change this? Oh, looks like the previous version had forgotten a semicolon, so added that back in. Down here, this is get random modifier. So this is the code that chooses how fast we're going to go when we didn't specify for the hype emote how fast it should move. And this one does a math.random times 3. So remember, math.random returns a number between 0 and 1. So when we multiply it by 3, we are going to get a number between 0 and 3. And he adds 1 because we want it to be a minimum of 1. So it becomes 1 to 4. And that's all we get here. So that gets us a random number from 1 to 4. Okay. Our update function got a change here. So previously, our speed modifier was set to 2. That's how fast we were going. But now it is going to be able to change based on that random selection. So what he did was he finds the X right border, the Y bottom border. So this is the canvas width minus the image. So the idea is when the image reaches all the way to the end, actually if I show you this, like so if it's here, gets over to here, you'll notice it gets to the edge, we need to get this point, right there, not the actual edge. So when it bounces to the wall, you need to actually catch it there. So we need the earlier wall, and so that's the way he decided to find it, and that's fine. So he does a calculation of the width of the canvas minus the width of the image. That gets when it will contact. Does the same thing with y, and that gets us where we need to bounce. That's like our bounce border right there. Because all of the objects that we move on this canvas are all pinpointed by the upper left-hand corner at an XY value. So that's always the upper left-hand corner, which actually, for you guys, upper left's up here. And so that's the way that it determines where something is. So we have to find a new bottom border and right border where we can check for it. So this is the same code we had right here. This is how you do movement within a circle. Okay, so don't worry about the math on that if you don't remember your trigonometry. But this will get you the movement in any specific direction based on our random direction that we chose at the beginning. So notice here at the top we have get random direction, and that chooses a random direction based on a value of radians. I don't remember how much you guys remember your math, but that's how it works. Okay, so next thing. We've got that. We attempt to move. Once it moves, it does a quick check. It says, okay, am I outside of the range I'm supposed to be in here? So that's what it checks for right here. It says, hey, did I exit either the left border or the right border? And thank you for the host there, Visual Studio. So it checks to see, did I cross the left or the right border? And if I did, then what it's going to do is it's going to flip the direction of movement, and we're going to bounce off. So it's going to come down, it's going to bounce off, and that's what we want it to do. So there's a small bit of math for that, and I'll show you. The math is actually very easy, and then then this one checks to see if it hits a side. Oh, whoops! This is the top and bottom. So my little example was a bottom one. So this one does the same thing. If it exceeds the top or the bottom border, it does that. Now, the reason we separated out top, left and right, and top and bottom is that the calculation's different depending on whether you need to do a bounce from left, right, or top, bottom. So that's all it is. Oh, Spartan. The bot is running in .NET Core. So everything we've written here is .NET Core. Some of the libraries that it uses are written in .NET Standard because they can be. So, yep, but everything here is .NET Core. Although none of our code, for any reason, could not also just be switched to run on full framework, and it'd be a quick little change, but you could depend on the full .NET framework as well. Okay, so the last thing down here, it goes to reset the bounced flag. Now, I didn't mention the bounced flag at all the whole way through here, and that's because I don't think we need it. I think we can get rid of it. And I suggested that, and I think he checked and didn't see any problem with it either, but hasn't removed it yet. So I may merge it in and then just get rid of the bounced parameter because I don't think we need it. Okay, so down here, I mentioned the math for doing a bounce was easy. So it's coming down, it bounces off and starts going another direction. That math is actually not very hard. This is literally it right here. If we hit a vertical wall, so we hit one of the sides and we do one of these, right, and then back in, that is just pi minus our angle. Literally it. Which alternately, if you wanted to do it in degrees instead of radians, it would be 180 degrees minus our angle in degrees. But since our angle is in radians, we did the radians calculation. Same thing down here. This is pi times 2 minus the angle, which again we could have done 360 degrees minus that, and it would have given us the same result. The nice thing about this approach, even though it says this down here, if the angle passed this, we no longer need to do that. Let's see if you'd done. Okay, yeah. So I mentioned. Sorry, I think yes, but no. If you had one sprite bouncing around the screen clockwise, starting at 45 degrees, we go to 35, then 225. If one sprite was bouncing around the screen clockwise, starting at 45 degrees, it would go to, so 180 minus 45, then, well, yeah, but then it would hit a side angle, and it would be 360 minus 135, which would be 225, and then it would hit another, oh, yeah, maybe, yeah, he might be right, Bokyo, that's a fantastic question. Why Vanilla.js? So, Bokyo is probably wondering, why didn't we go and grab a framework that is designed for doing, like, game dev and things like that inside of our canvas? And that is a fantastic question, Bokyo. And there are a whole bunch of JavaScript libraries that are specifically designed for doing this kind of stuff. And the short answer is, we're planning on using those. We are planning on using a library for that. We wanted to start with Vanilla.js because we want to make sure that we've got some episodes here in the channel that cover how to do some of this stuff in Vanilla.js. So the plan was, let's start with this, and then let's go grab some of those libraries and change how they work. So that's part of the reason why we're using Vanilla JavaScript for this. Mainly because we can and we want to show some of it, and we think a lot of people are going to want to learn how this works. So even if you do use one of those libraries, it's still nice to know what is actually going on, how are these things working. So, yep, that's the whole idea, Bokyo. We are planning on using those, though, don't you worry. I didn't catch Spartan's next thing. I didn't want to spin up a Windows VM to run locally if I can use .NET Core and macOS. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Spartan, everything's .NET Core here, so all of our code works on Windows, Linux, macOS, everything like that. So, yep. And S&B is correct. Microsoft really got themselves in a tough spot with... we have to spend a lot of time explaining the difference between core, standard, and full framework now. So, but hey, at least we have the options, and I love standard, I love core, and heck, I still love full framework. I would rather be using core now, though. Don't get me wrong. I like where we are today. Random Rick, hey, welcome. Okay, so here is what we are going to do. We got this. I pulled it as change already. We are running it right now. And what I want to do is this. So, our do hype right now is quite crazy and adds in a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to examine what we're doing, so I am going to do this. I'm going to change how it works. This is exactly how I want to check this. So, step one, I need to make it so that the hype command does only one hyping. And so it doesn't get crazy in here. What I am going to do, I apologize everybody, I am disabling the hype that displays over me. So that hype is gone. No more hyping there. And now, we're going to open up the overlay. So when I do a hype here, there's now a single hype that comes out. And we can see that one hype. Now it didn't get to the wall fast enough, it can't show us a bounce, and it's not got the right angle. But what we can do is this. Let's go to the sprite. So get random direction is getting us a value between that and pi. So a 45-degree angle is what? It's an eighth of 2 pi, so it's pi divided by 4, if I'm not mistaken. So that means our direction is going to be pi divided by 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this. So 0, 0. And I'm going to say pi divided by 4. And then the last thing is the mod, which I think we're going to say 4. So that is going to be a fast-moving sprite right there that we are going to create. So I just refresh this page, I save the file, we're going to try the hype command again. And there it goes, down into the corner, and it bounces off. And it doesn't go fast enough. I need its life to last longer. So I temporarily want to change one other thing. So I'm going to let the sprite live for 1,000 cycles. That's a really long life for a sprite. Sorry, Floodgris. It won't let you start it. But here it goes. Bounce. Bounce. Maybe? Where did it go? Whoa. Goodbye. Bye. Oh, man. And welcome everybody that was hanging around in the Code Rush stream as well. We're doing some more JavaScript over here, just messing around with a little bit of vanilla JavaScript, making some code work. Okay, so where did I go wrong? Make it go faster. Let's see if it exceeds that wall again. It looked like it passed that wall. Isn't that what it looked like to everybody else? It looked like it went off the right side of the screen over there and didn't come back. Okay, no, it just happened to disappear there. Okay. Not bad. That got us a yeah, it might have just been a cache there, Bokyo. You could be right. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So this seems to bounce around all right. I'm gonna turn off bounced because I'm pretty sure we don't need it. Wait, what? Oh, that's funny. And I will fix those names in a second as well. Okay. Bounced. Bounced. Gonna get rid of that. And I don't know if we ever do these or not. Yes, a couple of bats and we can start swinging around at those things. It'll be good. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. If bounce angle is less than 0, then what do we want to do? I'm just going to toss the debugger there. Shouldn't be able to be, I don't think. I could be wrong, but we will find out. Okay, so we have that turned on. Now I'm going to let these sprites go crazy again so we get a whole bunch of samples. So I'm going to go ahead and comment those out. Comment these back in. So we're now going to create our massive blast of stuff again, and we're going to watch this time as it runs. Refreshing this page. I'm going to bring up the window down there. We're going to go ahead and type hype, and there it goes. Exploding in all directions now. Oh, okay, so he's right. We do go negative. We hit the debugger. Our bounce angle was -3. Another one bouncing. That one's also slightly negative. That one's slightly negative. Okay, alright, yep, nope, that's legit. We're going negative. He's right. So those go. It's gonna go crazy for a little while here, because I have them set to do 3,000 movements before they stop. So that's gonna be a little while, but that's fine. I'm cool with that. Okay, so that confirms the second part is definitely needed, but the bounced value definitely wasn't. So we're gonna get rid of those because we're not using them for anything. Vertical wall equals true. Okay, I'm gonna fix those names as well. Where's my 3,000 change? Let's change that back to 300. There we go. And let's check what code I've changed. This is not a change, so I'm gonna get rid of that. These are changes, so I'm gonna do a small amount of cleanup in this file, just getting our names to match our convention a little bit. Bokyo, no. There's speed variation in these and direction variation, so each one gets a randomly assigned speed, and each one gets a randomly assigned direction. So, quite crazy on that. I am going to go ahead and let it fix these names to match our naming convention here. Actually, that I'm almost cool with because it's a it's basically a constant there. Vertical wall. And actually, I kind of want to rename this as well to is vertical wall or hit vertical wall. Hit vertical wall. There we go. Please don't have this everywhere. Pyro, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. What do you not want me to do, Pyro? And Bokyo, I love the idea of various scaling, so you have bigger and larger ones. I think it's an awesome idea. Okay, so I need to remove these. So our little test points, we really are going negative. His math checked out, so awesome. Glad we checked that. He was totally right. That looks good-ish for now. That there is always the this. I doubt JS needs it since I never had to use it when I use JS. Oh, the this dot everywhere. Yeah. You're right. You don't need it everywhere, but it doesn't, there is a difference. You don't need it everywhere, but it does change some of how it works. Because there are some differences between having a variable and having a variable on it like that. Yeah, there's some difference. It's whether or not we're using closures or not. Either way, I'm not going to clean all that up just yet. We are going to do some cleanup. That's not part of the cleanup we're going to do right now. Fixing up the name, removing this dot bounced, and doing some renaming. Actually, before I do this, mod. I almost want to call. All right, I'll leave it the way it is for now. Assuming the right design doesn't matter. And I'm going to want to clean up those comments at some point soon. Haven't yet. I'm going to push that up to his pull request there. And as soon as that comes back, so that is this, which I can now refresh, which should have my changes now as well. So that should be this commit. When this gets built and finishes up, S&B. Okay, so that is a little bit about how JavaScript works. I will gladly explain that. So, briefly explain it. So, I created an object called a sprite. A sprite, in this case, has a constructor method that is defined right here. So, function sprite, and this creates a sprite. Okay, now the reason it does that is when you call this, the returned value is the this object that that these are setting the properties of. So that's actually sort of what you get back from this function. I'm giving a slightly hand-wavy explanation of this. So that's what you get. When you say sprite.prototype, that is kind of like saying, it's kind of like telling JavaScript, hey, for the definition of the sprite object that you've got, I want to define that there's always this getRandomDirection function that's attached to that object. So by doing this function here, what I've essentially done is I've added getRandomDirection as a function to my sprite. So I can do, var mySprite equals new sprite, right? And then that will construct me a sprite object. I could pass in my source, my x, my y, my direction, my mod, right? I can pass in all those values and I get back a sprite object. And when I call my sprite, I can say, what is that one? Get direction. Get random direction is a method, is a function on this object. So that so that's a way that I can get that function. Now you might say, but hang on. Why didn't you then just say this dot get random direction equals function, right? Because that would also get me a function that I can call just like this. Here's the difference. This function gets created for every one of these objects. So every one of these objects that exists gets its own getRandomDirection function when I do that. However, if I decide to go the other way and not create one like this and instead do a sprite prototype getRandomDirection, this is the only one that exists. It exists for the sprite type now. So that's actually what doing this sprite prototype getRandomDirection does. It sort of puts it on all of them. So if you think of like the prototype as like the prototype for these objects, you're like, oh yeah, I put this function on the prototype for it. So every time we make one, we just use that one, right? So that's kind of the idea. Let me get rid of that so I don't leave code cluttering around here. But does that sort of explain? Okay, awesome, SMB, got it. So some concepts are hard to explain without like really getting into stuff. So glad I got that one. Good question. Great question. Because yes, it is a little weird to do that. So for the non-JavaScript developers in here, that's why that one is that way. Okay, good. I don't have any changes. So let's go ahead and confirm that everything's working. We just committed all our code. I am going to run things again. Refresh. Is that stuff turned off? Yes, it is. So we're going to hype real fast. I just want to make sure this does what we think it's going to do. A little bit of bouncing, lots of movement, hypes all over the place. And they're disappearing pretty quickly. So perfect. Okay, so now that we've got that there, I am going to turn on our hype command again. So get ready for it to actually be here, everybody. Boom! There it goes. Okay, so the real hype command is running again. So that's actually the one that is on the stream. Notice it's in front of me. Yep, that's right, I'm getting eaten by excited dinosaurs. Okay, so cool. Pyro, maybe it could be said that the normal function is like an action in C# while the prototype is an actual method inside a class. Yeah, you could prototype, but there's still some slight differences, actually, in what they're able to access. It's almost like there's a slight difference, but yeah, that gets to the gist of it. So that is a good way of describing it that gets to the gist of it. So I'm going to approve these changes and allow this one in for now. There are a couple of things that still need to get fixed up in this, but I don't want him to, be back and forthing forever on this. If he wants to make changes to it, he is welcome to fix that up, and we will let that into the main code base. So congratulations on your second pull request into our project, so well done. And if anybody else wants to get involved in any of our projects, you can find them out on GitHub. You are welcome to make suggestions, changes, anything like that. Send us pull requests. And Boomster, hello, welcome. I'm doing pretty well. How are you? There's a bit of lag. So Bokyo, related to the sprites, if that's what you mean, there is a bit of lag there, and I actually want to clean up the way that we do that. I have a theory that I'm not super sure about. So I'm creating a new image every time, going to that source. What I'm wondering about is whether I can draw the same image over and over and over again. And I think I might be able to. So I want to try a change here. I'm on master, right? Yes, I am. No, I'm not committing to it. I just want to be on it because that means that I'm working on the right stuff. Okay, so I want to try this. Let's go find in the overlay where we created our sprite. So we create it right here. We pass this in, so I want to say var image equals new image. Right, that's what I cut from there. I think it is. Yeah. And then I want to say image.source equals that. I don't know if I can get away with this or not. I don't know what it's going to do with it. We'll find out. Okay. Good day to me. Does my chatbot run on a separate machine, or... Oh, the actual bot that's in the room. Yeah, no, that's the one we're compiling right now. That's how brave I am. In a lot of ways. That bot itself is like breaking. So sometimes during chat, because we're actually working on the one that's in the chat room, I don't always have access to all my commands. So it's something that kind of comes up every once in a while that I don't have those. But I enjoy working on the one that's actually in there. Some people have suggested that I run two, which is what I originally did. In the early part of the stream, I was actually running two bots. I had one that dealt with all the main chat commands and everything like that, and then there was ours. And as ours, eventually replaced everything that we needed that one for, I got rid of the other one. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of fun changing the one we're actually using on stream. So, yep, that's the idea. Okay, so let's give this a shot. I need to refresh this on my screen because I need to manually refresh the cache of the one that's actually over me. Since we only changed JavaScript files, I should be able to do... Actually, hang on. I might need to do that. Let me... Okay. So that's going. Just check. There we go. Alright. Here goes. Here goes. Cross your fingers. Drum roll, please. Okay, interesting. So it is going. So it works even with using the single image instead of many images. So I think that's probably a better way to run it. So this is the overlay, which actually, now that I think about it, I'm just checking to see if I get a spike on memory or anything when I run this. Nothing. No change. Actually, Chrome does bump up just a tad when I do that. That's interesting. I can actually see the change. That's funny. So I didn't toss it on screen, but I had my what's it called? Task Manager. That's the word. Running up on another monitor, so I can actually watch. I can see the amount, the spike when I run the hype command. It doesn't really spike, but like you can see, like there's a blip, tiny blip, but it's interesting that you can see it. Stoolpenner, good evening, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. I don't know what time it is wherever you are. Maybe it's night. I don't know. Hopefully everybody's enjoying your day. And Pyro, yeah, if you want, you can multi-thread in JS. You can multi-thread in C#. Heck, you could write your own JavaScript runner. That animation reminds me of the old solitaire win animation. Yeah, actually, no. Boomster, no. You don't even know. Hang on. You gotta see this. Let me do something cool. Just for you, Boomster, you're gonna love this. Where is it? Where is it? Render in the sprite. Render, draw image. That. We called render on the sprites in here inside of animation. Render, clear rectangle. There we go. Okay. Hang on. I wanna show you something. Let me turn off that one. We're just gonna watch it in here. Hang on. Look. Now that should remind you of the old solitaire, huh? So you can totally do that if you actually want to see the old solitaire style. All you do is do the redrawing, but don't clear it out. So this thing that I removed here, this is our clearing of the previous rectangle, and we're just drawing the image again in each spot, and it makes that cool little pattern. So that'll look like the old the old style. In order to see it, I had to bump these numbers down a little bit. So what were they? 20 and 25, I think. I will check here just to make sure that I didn't change anything. Yep, that's just moving that image out there. So we pass in 1, and then that's just using the same image instead of multi-images. Perfect. Awesome. So, yeah, glad you guys like that. On your old wooden PC. Yeah. No. Plenty of us played those old solitaire games. They're fantastic. How many people here have booted computers off of like floppy drives because there wasn't a hard disk in those computers? The early days of the PC, when you had to put in your OS disk to actually boot something. You're like, oh, I want to run some stuff. Like, yeah, we're gonna boot from this. Yeah, exactly, SB. Yep. Oh, good times. All right, so you can spawn it in 3 to 4 places asynchronously in a few set timeout. We'll simulate threads like that. Oh, that's a cool idea, Bokyo. Stoolpenner, Bokyo. So you are running an overlay script on a /overlay site, and you just capture this. So not exactly. So the way that it works inside of OBS is OBS has what's called a browser source, and it can actually pull up any URL it wants from any website. So I could just pick a website, and it will put that website as a transparent overlay. So basically it removes the background and just puts that on. So with transparency, so I can put it wherever I like. And so the idea would be that eventually I want to put this bot out on the web somewhere so that we can all just run the bot and use it on our site. But for now, we're definitely still in development. and not ready to actually push it out there for multiple people to use and have it be running long term. Oh, hey, Code Rushed! Hey, welcome! I didn't know you were going to be here. Awesome, glad you're here. For anybody that is wondering, I should definitely give a shout out to Code Rushed here. Code Rushed is actually another streamer. That's Mark Miller. He's been a guest on here before. So Mark is awesome. We like him a lot. Let's see. Hard disk with a dream back in the day. Your first computer was an Apple II GS. Oh yeah, the old sounds when you ran computers. And yes, for the record, Code Rushed is older than I am. Sorry, Mark. Yeah, glad you showed up. I caught a bit of yours too, Mark. I didn't talk in chat, but I was there for some of it. You were still working on your character editor. So Mark is actually doing a JavaScript stream, like fully JavaScript, whereas here we're doing C# and JavaScript. So Fortran and punch cards, nice. Okay, so that change is a good one. I like that because that's going to reduce the amount of memory load that we get here. So reduce image creation. But I don't want to do that on the master branch. I want to call this refactoring. Yeah, that name will be good enough. We're just going to do some refactoring here because we want to do a bit of cleanup today. We've been adding a lot of features lately, and we're going to take a look at them. I'll discuss them. I'll make sure I talk about what we did and why and how, but then also get us a bit of cleanup on them as we go. So starting with the JavaScript because it's what we did most recently. So it is also the easiest for digging into. So that's not the worst code I've ever seen. Neither's this. This I don't like. I want to remove knowledge of the canvas size from this in some way if we can. Okay, so let's jump over to our bot hub next. So taking a look at this, this is actually so when you type a command into our like that our bot responds to, like the hype command, for example. Oh, I have it turned off. That's funny. So the hype command, what it ends up doing is that hype command goes out to the Twitch chat server. We're connected to the Twitch chat server in this web project right up here. This web project is making an API call out to it's got a persistent connection to the Twitch chat server to receive those commands. So it says, oh hey, you typed the hype command, and then what that does is that actually triggers our hype command, which is over here, and this command has access to our bot hub. Now, part of that clean architecture change that I was talking about, I mentioned to you at the beginning of this stream that we want to refactor towards clean architecture, and part of the way that we do that is by trying to get our dependencies on anything external that includes web. So ASP.NET is a dependency we have in this project, getting those out of the core and into a web project. And anything that does not need to have a connection to a dependency like web or a database or something like that, any of those things we want to push into the core. So anything that we can get into the core, we should. Anything that we can't get into the core, we should not. So that's actually what we're trying to build to. And I'm going to show you how we can get this in here. Because right now, our hype command, if you look over here inside of Solution Explorer, I'm going to expand this out so you can see it. We want to get this hype command inside of the core project. So right now, it has to be inside of the web project. And the reason for that is the hype command has access to an iHub context of bot hub. And bot hub lives here. Now bot hub, being a SignalR hub, has to live here. But the rest of our code doesn't. So let's take a look at what's in this hype command. So all that's in here is a chat client send a message, a chat hub context client all hype. It knows about the concept of a cooldown, and it knows about repository and things like that. Nothing about that's outside of the core domain of our project. So what that means is that we can extract this dependency. So let's take a look in core and I overlay display. Yeah, no, not bot hub. Sorry about that, everybody. I was having a little fun there. Okay, so notice our I overlay display has a hype command right here. So what that tells me is that I can use this. So we already created an abstraction around the concept of communicating back to the client. So SignalR, for anyone who doesn't know, is a client-server communication. It's persistent communication between a client and a server. In this case, our JavaScript in our web page on that overlay needs to talk to the C# in our server at a constant pace so that when we get a command from the chat window, we can tell JavaScript immediately to do a thing. And it feels like when I type in that hype command, let me turn on the view a second so you guys can see it. If you watch, as soon as I type that hype command, immediately it is displaying these. There is no delay. Like, human cannot even perceive the delay between typing that command and hypes spreading out among the screen, covering my face. So that's the idea there. And S&B, congratulations on winning the game of rock, paper, scissors there against the bot. Yes. So let's depend on this instead. So in our hype command, I created this interface, this wrapper that we're going to use. So the interface itself isn't a wrapper, but the object is going to be one. So instead of using a hub context, I'm going to pass in an I overlay display. Because is that the one I need? Actually, wait, that may not be the one I need. Hang on. That may not be the one I need. I need this one. I overlay notification. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. I need an I overlay notification. Okay, so here's how I checked to make sure which one I needed. I looked over here inside of the web project. So remember I said I wanted to wrap up a web dependency inside of an object and depend instead on an interface. So I'm depending on this interface, and if you look at where this lives, it is over here inside of the core project. So the I overlay notification interface is inside of core. Nothing about this does anything, so that's why it can live in core, because it does not know about anything related to web. And so what's cool is what I can do is inside my hype command, by depending on this instead, I can say, I can hide away the fact that we are connecting to the web. So it just says, oh, you know what? I need to notify the overlay. So I'm going to change this name to overlay notification. We'll change that as well. So now what we have inside of our hype command is we have this concept that there is an overlay notification that we're going to call. And the overlay notification, we're just going to say, notify it about hype. And so that kind of hides this away. So yeah, isn't that really neat, S&B? I love that we're able to, so like we had this dependency and now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, nope, what dependency? I don't see any dependency. What do you mean? That's not here. No. So notice right here, we had we used to have a using statement that connected to our infrastructure project. We don't need that anymore. We used to know about SignalR. We don't need that anymore. So that's really kind of a cool thing that we're like, oh, we don't need those anymore. So Spartan Guitar, at least I assume it's Spartan Guitar. Might be Spartan Gator. Actually, it probably is Spartan Gator. But anyway, yes, there are some design patterns that that we are following here. There are some general ones. This one primarily is the dependency inversion principle, which is part of the solid principles of object-oriented design, which leads into a fantastic segue into this. Which, there we go, that I do want to mention, coming up here soon, starting on Saturday. So this Saturday is in like only a handful of days from now. We will be doing the first in our series that I'm calling Solid Saturdays. So every Saturday we are going to cover a different solid principle. So starting this Saturday and then every following Saturday until we finish, we're going to cover one of the solid principles of object-oriented design. So if you want to catch these, you can follow the channel and just show up every Saturday. Or you can click these Remind Me buttons over here, and it will remind you specifically about these, so that you don't miss our solid principles of object-oriented design discussions. And specifically the one that we're leveraging here is this one, the Dependency Inversion principle, which is right now scheduled for September 15th. If any of these change, I will update it, so having the reminders is useful. So if I, for example, had to not do one on a Saturday, I might skip a Saturday or something like that. Who knows? We'll find out. But this is my goal right now, and that's what we'll be working on. So should be a lot of fun. Hopefully I will see you all there, because we will be doing some examples of things that are done in following those principles and discuss how they work and why they work the way they do and why we want to do them. Okay, so our hype command no longer has any dependencies on web. So, cool. I haven't moved it yet. One of the suggestions that I make a lot in our Learn to Code streams, which I didn't mention it, but the other special event streams that we do here are Learn to Code streams, and I do them every once in a while. Our Learn to Code streams are a little special. What we do for those is we actually teach beginners how to program in C#. So we do Learn to Code in C# streams every once in a while, and we take a beginner level. I try to keep it easy enough that anybody can follow along regardless of experience level. But you know, there's going to be some variance in that because we've done so many episodes. I try to make sure that anybody who's returning gets new stuff, but they're still fairly approachable regardless. So the suggestion that I make to all of them is, if you think your code might work, or even a little maybe, run it. So what am I going to do right now? I'm going to run my code. And there we go. Toothless, welcome, hi. Hopefully you're having a good day. There goes our hype command. Goodbye, I'm now covered up by hypes. Toothless, yes, we have a YouTube channel. Our videos over there on YouTube are slightly delayed, so I keep them running a little bit behind what they are on Twitch. So there's also a video section here on Twitch if people want to see the recordings of these. All of our videos we do here on the channel are recorded and uploaded here on Twitch and out on YouTube. Okay, so but we don't stream live to YouTube, I should mention. We just stream live here on Twitch. Okay, so the code runs. We just, you know, you saw all that stuff flying around. S&B? No, yeah, this was planned. So this was an intentional refactoring that we had built in here that we were planning on doing. Like, that's why the hype command was set up this way. So, yep. On the ball here, S&B. Educational stream, after all. So, it works. It runs. It did that communication, even with this change we made. It's not in the right spot yet. We still need to move it. So here's the cool thing. I removed the dependencies. It's inside this web project right here, as you guys can see. I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to move it up here into commands, paste it in. You guys are going to ignore the problem I have in the site, because I totally want you to ignore that right now, because I haven't fixed it yet. So there was no red X. I didn't see a red X. Did you see a red X? No, definitely not. No red X. Nope, none. Definitely not. I would have noticed a red X. Alright, so let's go ahead and run it again. I just want to make sure the site's back up and running. So we've moved that to the right spot. I am going to refresh the view on the page, and we're going to run that again. And when we run it, I just want to make sure... Okay, so there it goes. We're getting our hype command again, and that means that we were able to successfully move that into the correct project. So, Toothless, if you want to start a game, you can start up rock, paper, scissors. But there you go. I started one for you. Okay, wait, what? Was that fun, Toothless? Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, what happened is Toothless typed in the roulette command, and the roulette command is a game of Russian roulette, and you either win coins or you get timed out for 10 seconds. So, nice, Toothless. That was good. Glad you tried roulette. It only times people out for 10 seconds, so that's why I don't feel bad about it, because, like, it's just oh, you get timed out for 10 seconds. So, whoa! Hey, Pyro, nice! You survived roulette. Congratulations. So, see, it is possible to survive roulette. Okay, so... Alright, so we moved that into the right spot. Let me go ahead and get this change in here. So this was just a move of the file. And so because these files are identical, Git is going to figure out that this is a move when I commit these. I don't need to do anything special to tell it that. It's just going to figure it out because the files are the same. So move... Oh, whoops! Whoa! They're not the same. They're not going to be the same. That was a... Hang on. No, they're not going to be the same. Brendan, don't lie to people. Don't lie to people. Hang on. I need to change the namespace. Well, that was loud. Okay. Namespace fixed. So move hype command to core. There we go. Perfect. And so I should mention my wireless headset is saying charge me right now in my ear because it wants me to charge it because its battery is low. Hang on, Toothless. I'll help you out there, buddy. I'm a nice guy. Oh, is the bot not? Oh, hang on. Sorry. When I made the change to the namespace, it kills the bot. Sorry about that. So I should mention, because I really am running the code for the bot that's in the chat, if I do things that cause it to need to stop the bot and do a recompile or something like that, it does kick the bot out of the chat. So that's actually what does happen there. So sorry about that. What is this question? What tool is that? Oh, the one I'm doing the Git work in. So this is GitHub Desktop is actually what this is called. It's reasonably okay. I like it. It does well, especially for the stream. There's a handful of things that I really like about this. So if anybody is here and is wondering about different tools, I would recommend this one. I'd recommend some others as well. But what I like about GitHub Desktop, specifically for the stream, you'll notice how clean this interface is. There's very little going on here. I have three main things. That's choose the repository I'm in, choose which branch I'm on, and a button that just does basic pushing and pulling operations for me, which is really good when I'm on stream because I just need to do a thing. And I'm not doing a Git stream. Now, I could do a Git stream where I go to the command line and I just do all kinds of interesting fancy stuff in Git, and that could be fun. But instead, I want to make sure that my focus is mainly on the code. One of the other nice things that I like about it, inside the branch selection, it has a pull requests tab. So because I get pull requests, I sometimes want to jump over to one of those. So it actually will set up an extra remote to make a connection out to your fork of our repository so that I can grab your pull request. So it's actually really cool the way that it does that. And I love that feature alone. That's enough for me to be here and using this tool. It also has a built-in thing to add a co-author. So this little down here, if I'm pair programming with someone, I can click that and I can add them as a co-author. So that's another nice feature that is just built into this. It's lacking in some other areas, but it's clean and easy for a lot of the stuff we want to do, and gives a nice visual for the stream because we're showing that. So I'm going to show this to people that are not going to be experts in GitHub, in Git. So that's why I'm using GitHub Desktop. Pimplack, hey, welcome. Sounds good. I'm going to hold you that, Pimplack. So go ahead and win the lottery, and feel free to send me a whole bunch of bits. I will not complain. And Bokil, when I'm working, I also am a command line Git person as well. So what features does it lack that you would like to have? Oh, so there's a handful of things. I would love a way to stash stool penner. If I just had a stash and a stash pop, that would be good enough. So that would be a nice one. Just an easy way to do that. Because 99% of the issues that I run into on the stream are just going to be, I just need to stash the code, grab a new branch, pop it off, and that would be it. So just the ability to temporarily do that would be nice. And it's not so great about opening up a console window. If I had a better way to get that, I would also be happy. So, okay. Oh, and nowhere in there is there a nice visual of the tree either, but there are other tools that do that well. Okay, so we have moved the hype command into a better spot, and I'm happy with this. Notice the hype command itself, and this is what deals with the interaction, has been kept to this tiny little file that just, you know, it's just out here, it's just hype. That's how we deal with hype. Okay, so other stuff that we need to take a look at. First off, I need to delete that, but I'm not going to get that one just yet. We have, let's take a look at some of our other dependencies. What is living out here? So our web dependencies right now are those hubs. I think I can move some of our other bot-related stuff out of the website and over into our web project. So I kind of want to do that. What does this depend on? This is it depends on bot main, that lives in core. Does it depend on anything else that's in the web project? It doesn't look like it. Looks like it's just bot main. So this, I'm going to move over to here. So I moved that project out of the web project and into our infrastructure web project. So this is the actual site. This is for classes that need web references but don't really have to do with the site itself. These aren't like a web page, for example. So that's why I'm pulling them over to here, is because they're kind of separate, and it feels weird to have them cluttering up the website project, if that makes sense. So this is a background process that runs entirely separate from the rest of the web project. So I don't think it belongs over there. At least that's my sense. Now I'm going to build this. The bot's not going to be in chat for a moment because I'm doing a rebuild there. So I apologize about that in advance. Why is bot configuration over here? I don't even know why this is in here. To be honest. Thunder. Sounds like there might be some bad weather over here, but I'm a developer. I don't go outside. That was a joke. Some of us do go outside, actually. I was kidding. That's setting up the database. That's starting up the project. This is the view models, that's the pages, extensions. Those might be able to go, those might go somewhere else. Although they have these have a lot of dependencies, so they might stay here. Okay, we'll leave those alone for now. I'm going to commit this. So I've taken bot worker out of the web project, out of the website, moved it into the project that has an infrastructure dependency on web, which, for the record, if we use ASP.NET Core's built-in caching mechanics to build a caching layer or something like that at some point for data access, so we would do like a regular old-style caching with cache invalidation, that sort of thing, that will live in our infrastructure web project as well, not in our like web SDK package project, so not the actual website. So this is move background worker, and actually before I commit that, let me run the bot again. Doesn't that hold data read from the JSON config file? Yes, S&B, that's what that one is. I was just thinking about why it was there, mostly. Okay, so, bot's back in here. Oh, right, I have to refresh before it does that. Okay, so, I see some questions in chat, I'll get to them in a second. Moving the bot background worker to the infra.web. Commit that. Fixing namespace. Alright guys, sorry. One sec. Gotta mess with my headset for a second. Battery in the thing died. He was telling me to plug it in. I didn't listen. Because, you know, I'm not gonna listen to a machine. I'm not gonna let a machine tell me what to do. And now I have successfully switched from one wireless headset to the next. So, what fun. This one's a little bigger. Less fun to wear on the stream. Thanks, S&B. Yeah, so these are actually what I wear when I game. So I do a lot of PC gaming as well. So, okay, let me catch up on chat now. How often do you push? I see some people pushing almost every commit. So, Stoolpenner, I sometimes push a commit. It just depends on whether or not I think there's a need to. Pushing commits get you some advantage in that they are not on your machine, so if my machine just suddenly crashed right now, at least the code would be pushed somewhere else. That is a less likely thing to happen. I'm not too worried about that one, but I don't really want other people messing with this code just yet because we are working on some things, so that's part of the reason why I don't push this yet. So if someone said, hey, I want to, start writing a pull request based on that, I would gladly just kick that push button repeatedly so they could stay up to date. The big thing, Stoolpenner, more often than how frequently you push, is how frequently you commit. You'll notice even though I had only changed 3 files, I actually did 2 separate commits for those, because I do want the separate commits. So that is a big thing there. SCP-IO1, Scorpio1, I'm just going to guess on how you want that said, but let me know and I will say it. Hey, no problem about joining late. Glad you're here. We are working on our chatbot project. So it's actually the chatbot that is here in the chat with us. So it's the one that could tell you that our code is out on GitHub, or that you might want to join our Discord, or that if you want to see the archives of our videos, you can find them on YouTube. Or you might be able to say, hey, where can I find DevChatter stuff on Twitter? And that's where you can do it. And that's our bot responding to some things, but it can do other stuff as well, like give you the list of commands that it has running inside of itself. But then it also has some games, and it can do some interesting stuff on the stream now as well, including a fairly new one on our screen here. Dang it, hype didn't work. What did I do? Is the website not running? Hang on. What's going on? Why didn't that go? Now I'm confused. Is it not, maybe I turned it off. Hang on, let me turn it off and on again. So I sometimes turn off the hype command because I don't want you guys doing crazy things. Nope. It didn't even respond to it. I wonder. Oh, son of a... I know the problem, guys. That bug that we have in our issue list, we need to fix that one. I thought about doing it, but I was like, nah, I don't feel like doing that one today. I was even thinking about it earlier in the stream, when right after we finished doing this one, that I needed to fix this. Yeah, it's the database issue. So I need to go here. So basically, the problem is we need to tell the bot to get rid of commands that it doesn't know what to do with, and fix them. DevChatter bot core hype command. There we go. Okay, that should fix it. Goodbye, bot. So it does a full type resolution to get what command it's supposed to be running when it does based on those names. So when it resolves those, that's what it does. That's not a perfect system, but it does a little bit for us. So right now, this loading, why it's taking so long, it's actually calling out to Twitch, the Twitch API. There is actually an undocumented part of the Twitch API that gets all the chatters in our chat window. That's all of you, and it failed. Okay, we're gonna have it try that again. So it spins for this long because we have a built-in retry, so it'll try for about 5 seconds to get a non-500 response from Twitch. And then eventually it will just fail. And then that's what happens there. Okay, so it's running now. So the hype command should go hype hype, but I need to refresh it on our screen, and then you'll see that. But it did run otherwise. So hype. There it goes. Hey, boom, cool. Okay. All right. So all that stuff can move, and that is good. So awesome. What else needs to live somewhere else? Those are fine. Twitch. Ooh, Twitch is gonna be messy. I'm gonna need to spend some time on that one. I'm not sure when I'm gonna do that. Sorry, turn down the volume on my headset. It was a little loud for me. Okay, that's the currency settings, commands. I'm gonna delete that. What changed? Just that? It was including this folder that didn't exist or something? So that folder must actually be there. Let me take a look. Huh. Is there a stream where you talked about exceptions, or will there be? Stool Penner, I have not talked about custom exceptions and exception handling in C#, but that is a topic that I'm a big fan of, because I do have some strong opinions on that. I am confused why it wants this stuff in here. It's like saying remove that as an embedded resource, but like it doesn't even need to be there. So I'm going to discard that change, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, and I'm actually just going to remove this, which is including that folder for some reason, even though the folder doesn't exist. So now that I've done that, I'm hoping that that cleaned up the issue, and it no longer displays here. It doesn't. Okay, that's the actual fix. There's some weird bug going on in .NET, because it didn't need... I don't know if you guys saw what it was just doing there, but that was weird. Okay, so... remove stray included folder. This was here. So we're gonna go ahead and commit that. That was a strange one. Do I have any exception types in here? Retry exception. Oh yeah, Stool Penner. When we did our retry exception, we had a special exception for this. So our retry exception is one of our only custom exceptions. That's actually something we should probably do some more of in our stream, is figuring out our exception handling and things like that a little bit better. So my recommendation to you, Stool Penner, head over to our stream info page on GitHub, and go to the issues section and request that we do a stream on that topic, and we can take a look at that one. So, and actually that goes for anybody that has any head on over to our stream info section and create an issue. Let me know what you want us to do, and we can try to make streams happen on specific topics. So, okay. So we got that. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and push that for now. I haven't checked our hangman today. Our hype is running, right? No, our hype is not running. Our bot's not running. I heard coding. Hey, welcome. Greetings. Let's go ahead and try this again. So we are going to hype the screen one more time, and it works. There it goes. Yeah, Janisku, I think it was Crimson Green that gifted a sub to our bot, so that the DevChatter bot could have an egg as well. All of our subscribers here are, I believe, either in their egg or just hatching out of it. I think I'm the only one that's out of the egg right now, because we haven't been an affiliate of Twitch long enough to have people that have been here 6 months. Our stream's not that old yet. 6 months ago, I was not a Twitch affiliate, so no one has been able to have a sub for 6 months yet. I think Crimson Green might be the one that's closest right now. Okay, so Hangman. So if you look above my head, our Hangman game, for anybody who was not here at a recent stream, our Hangman game now actually plays out on screen when we start playing Hangman. I need to figure out what to do exactly with it, because it is building up there. But I figured I'd show people that that is on here now. Is our cursor above or below it? Ooh, oh, my cursor's below it. That's funny. There we go, and it says you win, and goes away. So that is our the current state of our Hangman game. Works reasonably well. You can play it a little bit, and right now all we do is we just say you win, but we need to have some kind of celebration for that eventually. I figured I'd show that to people because I know not everybody saw that at our last stream, and it's kind of a cool one that we've added in to the stream. And actually I just realized because I did a rebuild that's going to kill the bot, so let me start it up again for you. Yeah, Jadisku, it was NUnit was the word. Hey Draco, welcome. Okay. So that works pretty well. And we've got a little bit there. Navigate. Actually, when we do a rebuild, do we have any warnings? We have 2 warnings. Hang on, stuff going on in chat. Yeah, so I heard coding. It's not always the same tune, but you can actually find info about the music down below. It's actually from Relax Daily, which... When did I start listening to them? Must have been 2014 or something like that. Relax Daily actually has a whole bunch of music that's really good. And is just, nice, light music for you want to have a little bit of background music. So they've got a lot of good stuff. It's a guy that just plays music, and it's really good. So, just light stuff. It's no music to flow by. Though I've been meaning for a long time to ask Carl if he cares if I use that on here. So I've known Carl for a bunch of years, so I might ask him. Maybe he'll let us run music to flow by here on the stream. So give us a little bit of variety, but I like our music. So Project dependency does not contain an inclusive lower bound. Okay, I'll have to figure out what lower bound we need on that at some point then. Oh, that's very cool, S&B. Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, Carl Franklin makes music to flow by, and he is a musician that's in the tech space, so he's like one of us. If you've heard of Dotnet Rocks, the podcast, Carl Franklin is one of the Dotnet Rocks podcast pair. So Richard Campbell and Carl Franklin are the guys that do Dotnet Rocks. And Carl does music to flow by. He originally did music to code by and changed it up. I like the old name better. Okay, so it wants me to have a version number set on that. I didn't set one over here and you're not complaining? Okay, so if I specify a version, it's happy. If I remove it, it's not. Right? Yep. Put that in there, and suddenly it's happy. I guess it only lets you get away with that on a web project. Either way, that's fine. No big deal. The things you learn. So there's a handful of things that I'm still waiting on Microsoft to get us. Speaking of like versions and other stuff like that, fixing our 2 warnings. Okay, so let me show you all something. If I right-click on this, there is a thing right here called Manage User Secrets. So this button, if I click it, it will actually open up a special file that has my actual keys that I use in order to connect my bot to Twitch. So, needless to say, I'm not going to click on that button while we're here streaming. However, if I were to go into this project and remove the web SDK part right here and save that, so essentially I've now switched back. My project is now considered a console application, not a web application. I changed the SDK that it's running. And that's literally the only difference between a web project and a console application in .NET Core. Clearly, I need to click that to prove it, Pyro. That's brilliant. You'll notice that I no longer have a Manage User Secrets button. It's gone. So, for some reason, the convenient little context menu, jump to user secrets is only there if you're a web project. So apparently that's an ASP.NET team thing that they put in the context menu to help out. And I just kind of sit here and I'm like, but anybody might want to use the user secrets file. It works in any type of project. Why would it be web specific? That makes no sense. So it's kind of stupid, but if I just put in .web and hit save, it's going to reload and boom, figure out that that's a web project. It reloads everything. And all of a sudden, Manage User Secrets is back. Well, good job, guys. Thanks for building a feature that's useful for those and nobody else. So here's the change in the project is apparently something with that. I don't know. Anyway, discard changes. So that's one of those things that just has me annoyed right now. Hopefully we can get that one fixed. The other thing that's got me right here, and I do want to mention, if you guys have ever seen this, this is our migrations folder in Entity Framework. This ugly beast. Notice it has a CS and a designer file. For every one of these, it's got a designer.cs file. Entity Framework, if you're inside of the web project and you have these, it figures out, oh, you've got a .designer file? Well, clearly you want that nested below, and it expands out to show you the designer file underneath it. But not if you're not a web project. So, want them to fix that. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Alright, let's get some more code cleaned up here. Inspect. Code issues in solution. Let's find out what it finds. So we're just going to ask our refactoring tool to take a quick analysis of our code, which is right above my head right there. So if you don't know, a lot of the tools that we run can actually do this kind of like static analysis and take a look at your code and see if it can figure out anything that's wrong. And tell us about them. And we can go in and start fixing some of these. Huh, razor error. I wonder what the razor error is. Okay, I'm guessing that's right, since that's straight out of Microsoft, but I don't know. Language usage opportunities. Okay. At least it didn't find many. Yeah, I heart coding. It didn't find many. Okazma. Where did I learn to code? In front of my computer as a kid. I learned to code. Deathpacks, that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. And Okazma, yeah, so I learned to code as a kid. I programmed, old computers, various things. I programmed calculators. As soon as I could, I started programming websites. So I was doing like JavaScript back in the 90s, which I can tell you was really, really terrible. So you think it's bad now? It was worse back then. Yeah, I heart coding. So interestingly, I am actually the child of a developer, but he actually never taught me development. So that's one of the weird things. Hey, yeah, see, there you go, Deathpack. So you're a calculator coder as well. So plenty of people actually did a lot of programming on their calculators, which is one of the great things that I loved about it, is that they were programmable. So any kid in school could learn to program by just messing around with one of those. And actually, Okazma, I am then also, I'll say, classically trained in that I have a computer science degree. So I did go on to a university and learned computer science, so I learned all the inner stuff that's not as much coding related as it is still about computers. Yeah, plenty of us have similar stories. I always love hearing about it. So I think that's really awesome that we have someone that did the calculator coding to begin with. I think that's one of the best ones. Okay, so let's take a look. What is the issue here? So it wants me to turn this into a ternary instead of an if statement because it's just passing this variable. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to sort of make it right by extracting this as a variable. So I'm going to call this message. I'm going to extract this, also call it message. And then regardless of what happens, we're going to send message. So we can actually do that now if it wants. I don't know if that necessarily is any cleaner. So we would be saying string message equals this, and the response is this one, or this one, and then regardless what it does is it sends message. And before I commit that, I am going to take a look at what this code actually changed. Whoops. I don't think I like this, though. I think this looks ugly. So this is basically the suggestion that it was just making, and I'm not a fan. Oh, S&B, you're one of the chemistry ones. Oh, that's awesome. I worked very closely with another programmer that had a chemistry background and was a programmer. It's always, I've worked with plenty of developers that, for example, didn't finish their CS degree. Yeah, I don't like this. This is not as nice. I'm going to undo that one. So we're going to disagree. We're going to respectfully disagree with ReSharper there. So sorry, ReSharper, we disagree. This one's the same thing, so we're probably going to disagree there as well. And here it wants me to use a local function. Hey, I'm good with that. Okay, so a cool new thing for people that don't know this, that aren't up to date on the latest and greatest from C#. They changed, so they added a new thing. So we've had Lambda expressions for a while. So this is a function that is stored in here inside of our throwing a task test, which we just did as a little thing here. It's pointing out that this could actually be a local function. So the way that a local function works is like this. So this is a function declaration. If I do the function declaration inside of another function, a method, I should say, but don't have an access modifier, that is a local function. Except for this one, I want it to be a func of bool. So let me just let ReSharper do the conversion for me, and you'll see what it ends up with. So notice when I toLocal function, what I get is this. I end up with... so remember, it's the same as a declaration elsewhere, except I don't have my access modifier, right? So I just remove the word private, and then it did this as an expression-bodied member, so it immediately goes and does this. I could convert this to a full statement body, and it would look like this. So notice that looks exactly like a function, a method in C#, just without the access modifier, so there's no public or private. And this is called a local function. So the interesting thing about the way that a local function works in C# is that a local function, unlike a Lambda expression that's stored in a variable, can be used before its declaration is written. So in this case, I can have this written at the bottom of the file and just run it here. So it's really nice for writing a method that you don't want to like clutter up. You're like, no, I still need the closure. Because the cool thing is, for anybody who doesn't know this, inside of C#, with this weird scoping, I can actually access that variable that's in the scope above my own. So it's kind of neat. Okay, so let me take a look at this questions over here, because there's a bunch of stuff. You're on your way to college, starting freshman year, and you're majoring in computer science. Oh, Cosma, that's awesome! Have fun. Enjoy college. And one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you before you head off is work on projects. And just do your own stuff, right? So do what they tell you to in school, right? And, like do your homework and everything, but like work on your other projects. Everybody that I know that came out of a computer science degree and really knew their stuff because they were still coding on the side, and that is really a big thing. You're starting an MSc in the next 18 months instead. Nice. I heard coding. That's actually pretty awesome. Pyro, you could just extract the send message out of the if conditions. Yes, I could pull it out of there. Mechatronics filter, don't know the English terms than IT here. Question, why? Oh, okay. I will talk about why the local function here in a minute. Horkrine also wants me to answer that. Hi, Horkrine. Leon Star, hi, hello, welcome everybody. The local function feels unnecessary to me. What's the benefit? Okay, so there are a couple of benefits to a local function over a variable that require that I get into some scenarios that are a little bit different, but there are actually a couple of scoping differences and a couple of other changes as well. So they do a very small number of things differently, but for 90% of the use cases, it comes down to a syntactic difference. So it's basically, do you like this code better? Or do you, do you like this code better? Or do you like, excuse me, that code better? So it's this code or this code. These are your two options right here. So there's not a massive difference. But it's pretty much what do you prefer seeing? So right now I can't get into the difference, the exact differences of them. Pyro likes the Lambda better. All right, we'll stick with the Lambda then. Since I don't actually have a terribly strong preference in this case, and it's complicated to explain what the actual difference is, I don't have a good test in place, and I want to get through some more of these options while we've got time today. Code style changes. So we're looking through the issues that... Oh, that's signal R. Duh, derp. Okay, so... I don't need that open. Yeah, so we're looking at the recommendations that ReSharper has given us for what things we can improve in our code base. And I'm going to go ahead and restart the bot just to make sure it's running here, and then catch up a little bit in chat. Very nice suggestion there, Harkrine. Let's see. Okay, let's start to do that. What's the best way for me to start? I have knowledge in Java, and you took a high school class on it. Yeah, so one of the easy things that a lot of us... So I even fall into this as well. So a lot of the things that I do for simple things, for explaining to beginner developers, I do a lot of math problems. Now, part of the reason that we do that is because the computer is good at solving those, and it can show you something that a human is not as good at. So it allows you to get away with some stuff where the user can see, oh, yes, that's a use case where the computer's definitely better at this than I am. Like, you want to have a computer find prime numbers up to, 100 million? Yeah, the computer's much better at that than I am. So that's why a lot of our stuff ends up being math. Which is kind of an interesting thing. But if you are looking for something to do, think about whatever it is you need built. So one of the things I worked on when I was in college was I worked in a tech department. So I did computer repair stuff. I built our system for managing all of the various tasks that we had to do. So whenever someone would enter a ticket into the system, they were actually entering a ticket into a ticketing system that I'd built. So that was actually one of the things that I was coding while I was in school. There are also programming exercises and katas that exist out on the internet that you can look up as well. So you could program something you need, you could do programming exercises that are known solutions to things. There are also some challenge websites that are out there where you can go and just try and do coding challenges. So, death packs. Yeah, so it's sometimes hard to convince your employer to pay for the software that you actually need to do your job. Oh, yeah, see, some people, the business won't pay for it, so the developer ends up paying for it, which is kind of an annoying thing. ReSharper is pricey, but not crazy. I recall it being like 150 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. Oh, okay, so you pay $10 a month for ReSharper. That works. What is the best tutorial or doc to learn C#? So Leon, obviously, the best way to learn C# is to attend to Learn the Code in C# streams here on the channel. No, so there are actually a lot of good ways. I would actually make the same recommendation to you that I make to basically anybody, which is go to a website that has C# programming stuff on it, and go follow along some of those exercises and things like that. That's a great way to learn C#. There are actually some good tutorials out on the Microsoft Docs website that are not actually that bad. They had some that I would argue were better. And I would argue they're better because I worked on the previous ones. They're not necessarily actually better. It was, I'm a little biased. I was just kidding. So many rock selections from the DevChatter bot. Well, I mean, it is choosing 1 out of 3, Janiska. That would be like saying I flipped I flipped that coin a whole bunch of times, and 3/4 of the time it came up heads. And it's like, well, yeah. When you're choosing between 3 things, you're gonna swing wildly. Run the bot 1,000,000 times. We'll see how many we got of each, and it'll probably be back to normal once you run it enough. I pay about 60-ish. Oh, try.net, yeah. And Deathpacks. So Rider is actually pretty good. So for anybody who's wondering, Rider is another IDE for doing C# code. So think it's Visual Studio, but not made by Microsoft. Horkrine, what do I recommend for someone who has years of experience in C# and has the ability to do just about anything but has no idea what to do? That is a great question, Ryder. Contribute to open source projects? I mean, that seems like a good idea. Like, I can't think of much. Like, that's a good way to go. Like, once you already know a lot of stuff, one of the best things you can do is give back to the community. Okay, one quick rant, and then I'm jumping back to code. But there is one thing that I need to tell you guys that is something that bugs me. I've been writing a blog post on this for a long time, and that is we don't give the community credit enough. So, quick question. How many people in here are self-taught developers? Self-taught. And, yeah, so a bunch of people would be, yeah, so like, I mean, I might raise my hand and say, yeah, self-taught, right? Self-taught. Self-taught. Sorta, kinda, except that's actually the thing that I argue with a little bit. So if I went into a small room, disabled my internet connection, sat there with a computer, with no books, and I just started programming and started messing with the language and trying stuff until I figured something out, then yeah, I would say, okay, self-taught. Adventures in Programming. Welcome. Thank you for the raid, and feel free to get situated, everybody. I was just mentioning one quick thing here, so welcome, everybody. So the idea is that I didn't do that, and probably most of you didn't either. So what we did was we took to the internet. We read existing source code. We read articles. We Googled for stuff. We read forum posts. We checked Stack Overflow. So if anything, I would say that we are not self-taught developers, but actually community-taught developers. And that's actually the thing that I love about it, is that that's basically, like, is that we have this great community that we can have, like, no, we're community-taught developers. Like, we all learned from the community. So I love that idea because we promote this community all the time. So, kind of fun. Okay. So, fix that. Self-guided, community-taught. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, self-guided. That's a good idea there, Deathpacks. That's another nice term there. That's true, S&B. Because what I would actually argue is if you were reading the man pages, for example, or if you read a book or anything like that, that's the same idea. That's other developers giving back to the developer community. So I love that concept. So it's very, very, very fun. Okay, so that was a good one, Resharper. What's this next one? So this is a field. The generic delete operation has a... Oh, because it's protected instead of private. No, we're skipping those. You're wrong, ReSharper. I'm confused by this. I thought... equals any. Well, we're apparently not using that extension anymore, so sorry, Arid Tag, that's going away. I'm not going to keep code around that we don't use. Yeah, I know, Harkrat. So that's the thing. It's like, because I don't want to diminish, you know, you, me, or anybody else either, Horkrine. The idea is that so I love that self-guided, right? Self-guided, community taught. So we're not self-taught developers. We're self-guided and community taught. So our community gave back to us and provided that. And so what I love about phrasing it that way is by calling it, by emphasizing the fact that we're all taught by the community, it implies that we should each be giving back to the developer community in some way. So, let's see. I'm going to commit this one separately. So, removing unused comparable extensions. There we go. And then this one, that's not a thing. This is also a protected field. Discarding that as well. That one tricked me. You could be Horkrine. You learned on your own. Nobody took the time out of their day to make sure that you learn and manage your time. And yeah, that was the self-guided that Deathpack suggested. Self-guided. Exactly. Yes. Yes, Horkrine. That's the point. Yes. That's why I loved Deathpack's suggestion of self-guided community taught. I love that phrasing. So self-guided community taught. Yes. One of us. Okay. So what is the next thing on our list? Down here. So what else did it find? Properties. What is this? Oh. We can't fix those. We don't want to fix that one. This is namespace, not... Oh! Hey! Kevin, were you streaming? Oh, no, we just got an auto host. Okay. Well, welcome anybody that was over in Kevin's stream. Yeah, that's a... Yeah, I'm gonna... So, it is, quote... Oh, bot's not running. Whoa, what is going on that page? I need to figure... That's a lot of red. I don't know what that was. I'll have to check. Help, quote, add, quote here. And then the author was at Deathpacks. Here we go. Quote 16. Self-guided community taught. Deathpacks. There you go. Okay, what is this and why is it here? Create quiz questions. I am so confused by that. So confused. What did it do? So this got moved to the right place. This is web, pages, quiz questions, create model. Web pages, quiz questions, create model. What does it think this should be? Games! Oh, I did move it to games. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that does need to change. Okay. Pages.games.quiz questions. Create model. There we go. So it's mildly confused there. Sorry, Janiscu. I'm restarting the bot anyway, so... because we're messing around in some weird territory right now. Pages.games. So I have .games on my clipboard right now. Whoops. Because I am just going to jump through each one of these files and fix that right quick. Because we moved them in here and apparently didn't get the namespaces changed. I'm kind of surprised by that, to be honest. So that's the index model for the games. I don't know how we pulled this off. We must have moved this someday. That was a goof on our part, huh? Maybe we did it right at the end of a stream and didn't have time to fix it before the stream ended? I don't know. We'll find out. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and... whoa! I'm going to clean the solution and rebuild. We'll see if we can't tweak those until they work. Yeah, it doesn't want to give me any of those. So normally... Wow! Okay, so Visual Studio says no to me. And I am going to go ahead and close the solution and reopen it, because that is getting wonky. Let's hope I don't need to do a full Visual Studio restart. I am sure we've all done that one. Let's see if this actually fixes it. We'll give it a second to make sure everything reloads. S&B. Too often? I don't actually know until we do this rebuild if this really is the solution to the problem. Doesn't look like it is. So apparently all our using statements got dropped off the top, but now it fixed them. There we go. Yeah, because for some reason it would not actually give me the option to put those up there. So there we go. I'm going to chalk that one up to the... a restart, making that work a little bit better. So there we go. Let's see, what's the actual change? So namespace change. This was actually, so deleting some using statements that weren't getting used, adding some others, so that's weird. And then everything else was just namespace changes. Okay. Alright, so update games page namespaces. Alright, that's not bad. That'll fix that up a little bit. Since there are a bunch of people here, I do want to mention all the well, now that once the bot's running, it'll re-enter chat in a second here. So the bot we actually use for this is actually the bot we are working on here. So all the code we do here on stream is out on GitHub, and if you are interested in chatting with me or anybody else outside the stream, check out our Discord. It really is a good community of developers that are very passionate about software development, programming, that sort of thing. So if you want to talk with any of us, that is the place to do it. Also, you can check out our videos here if you want to see some of our past streams. They're up there, and we keep an archive out on YouTube as well. So, okay, so let's take a look. Do I have inspection results? No. So let's tell ReSharper to do another inspection. So luckily it can do this inspection pretty quickly. Redundancies in code. Interesting. Qualifier is redundant. Nice. Those are some good suggestions. Let's take a look and see what else it found. Did it find anything that's not in a web file? Come on, man. It's like everything it finds is in a CSHTML file. Like, of course it is, because it probably has a really long namespace in those. Kind of surprising. Oh, there's a good one. All right. Oh, using directive. Yep, I got rid of that. Cool. Not going to worry about the ones that are in... Okay, there's a whole bunch of usings we can get rid of there. I know I'm making these changes when it's not done, but that's okay. Oh, that can't be null, is my guess there. It must know that that cannot be null, cannot possibly be null at that point. There is a spare using we're going to get rid of here. Okay. So did all of you know that Resharper could get you this little look at all the various things? All the suggestions it's got for stuff that you can get rid of. So right now it's mostly just usings in this section that I can get rid of, but still very valuable to know about. So there's 3 more that can just disappear. Conditional access. Ah, see, another one where our event args is definitely not... It knows it's not null. That must just mean that we used it at a higher point. So that's an interesting thing there. That it's saying, hey, yeah, since you already used this, it would have blown up earlier, so clearly it's not null. Lycan, that's awesome. Yeah, so... It is also nice because you can see some of the intricacies of C# without having to, you know, just know these things, and it will be like, oh yeah, you didn't need this, and you'd be like, oh yeah, cool, I guess I didn't. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at that. That should just be removings of usings. Okay, so... So this, that list is from Resharper. Visual Studio also has a list, Caliber 1. So we did a little bit of restructuring. We moved some dependencies around in the project early on when we were doing some refactoring, but now we're just doing a little bit of extra cleanup. Just getting rid of, just taking a look to see if there's any old code that we can just clean out of here. So it looks like we've got some, we also have some in our unit test down here, where we also have some usings that can get cleaned up. And yeah, I know a bunch of people that use Rider or IntelliJ IDEA. So in our Java friends, things like that, if you use those, you should be very familiar with how Resharper works, because it's pretty much the same concept. So, now with everything there saved... Ooh, why did that change? That's weird. That's strange to me. I may not commit that one, because that freaks me out. Clean up, sort, usings. Let's see. So you've just started using Rider and you love it. Only thing you wish it had was better Azure support. Oh yeah, because it's probably not going to have the integrations for actually making connections to Azure like Visual Studio has. They'll probably get that eventually, Caliber 1, but I do not know how long that's going to take. So one of the problems is that Microsoft does not, so they don't actively work against Rider, but I don't think they're as helpful to JetBrains as they were before. My assumption is when JetBrains decided to make Rider that they sort of kind of put themselves in this adversarial role against Microsoft in that they're now competing, because ReSharper and Visual Studio are now competing products, whereas before ReSharper was always a supplemental add-in to Visual Studio. So I don't know. I don't know if they were at odds before that or if it's because of that, but there's definitely something there. It seemed weird to me. I'm obviously an outsider perspective on that, so I don't know. That's just what it looked like from over here. SNB says, in your company, all your devs get an MSDN Ultimate or equivalent subscription. That's awesome. So you're very lucky in that respect. Otherwise, we might check out Rider. Yeah, so that's one of the big things is if your company gets you Visual Studio covers the big expensive license, there's not much reason to try the free alternative. Well, the interesting thing there, Janisku, is Atom and VS Code are now both owned by Microsoft. So that won't be an issue at all then. Okay, I'm going to let it do its code issue inspection again because we cleaned up a bunch of these. So the nice thing is how fast that still goes, even though it's doing a check of all the code that we have in this. Nice, Pyro. Yeah, so not that developers have strong opinions on anything or like that at all. Speaking of which, either bad things about Vim or Emacs, I don't care which, but let's anger all parties by even mentioning their existence. Yeah, so what? Yeah, I'm a big fan of VS Code. I like it a lot. Our Learn to Code streams, which, by the way, if anyone in here wants to show up and help out with those, we do our Learn to Code streams on average about once a week, though we, just based on timing, I want to try and mix up the days that they are. We do streams where we're teaching beginners how to code. So if you want to show up to those, either you want to learn C#, from ground up and see some stuff, or whether you want to help other people learn, you are welcome to attend those. Feel free to share the link, invite anybody you want. So, if your friend has been bugging you to teach them how to code, send them our way. We'll teach them how to code. So, Bokyo, you used Vim for 3 years. I'm probably going to lose half of my viewers here, but I've used Vim. And I like Vim better than Emacs, but I still use Visual Studio, so hopefully I don't lose all of my viewers based on that statement. Yes, I like IntelliSense. IntelliSense helps with learning languages. When you use Visual Studio, do you enable Vim key Idiocracy, no, I actually don't turn on the Vim key bindings. I use a weird set of key bindings that I am used to. Excuse me. Alright, let's remove that. What is this one? This is telling me about a redundancy in here. Redundant string interpolation. Oh, we're not actually using string interpolation there. We had no variables. Using directive is not required, so we're going to clean that one. We have another using we're not using, and this one also has a redundant string interpolation. So we had the $sign before our string, which is the way of telling C#, hey, this is going to be string interpolation, I'm going to insert values in here, but then we weren't actually doing that. Time zone display, we set it there. Do we also set it in that one? Yeah, it's right. I don't think we need to actually put that value in there, because we are definitely setting it in these later ones. However, that is a real issue right there. Removing more redundant code. So we're going to remove a little bit more redundant code there. This one, we're going to use the null conditional operator. So for anybody who hasn't seen this, this is, we use it a lot here. I'm basically saying if event args is null, that's what this operator does. It says, go ahead, so this operator is actually called the null conditional operator. If you've ever heard it referred to as the null propagation operator, that is not technically correct. The feature we're doing here is so this operator is the null conditional operator. The effect of using a null conditional operator is that you have performed what is called null propagation. So if you've heard that term, that's what this is. So we are propagating the null. That means we're sort of letting it continue, is the idea. We're propagating it on to the next one. And yeah, as S&B says, it's also a lot of times called the Elvis operator. Okay, so now we used to have a complaint that event args might be null, but now arguments might be null. So we have to put that one in there as well. So now we've basically said, allow this, so if this is null, then the whole thing's going to be null, this whole section. If arguments on the event args was null, then this whole thing is going to be null. And if count is null, which again it would be if we propagated the null along, null does not equal 0 anyway, so we don't need to change anything about the type. Elvis, not Elvix. Totally different thing there. No, we don't have to worry about it. You can compare a null against an int. So that should work fine. This basically just ends up as a nullable int, I believe, at that point. It's kind of weird. So the actual type, and a nullable int can be compared with a literal integer value. There is an implicit conversion that takes place there to allow that to happen. Okay. So that's this one. Avoid null reference exception. Okay. Next up, redundant string interpolation again. Yep, we did not need that. There's no string interpolation here, so we don't need the $sign. Next one. Again, it's one of these where since we used this value already, it knows it can't be null. Because we already used it somewhere and it would have bombed out, right? No? No, it did. I think I might be confused there. I'm going to skip that one for now. Same thing. What is this? Yeah, exactly. As S&B says, it's supposed to look like Elvis's hair. I saw something in chat. I will read it in a second. Don't worry, I will get to it. I saw it. Spartan. Spartan, out of curiosity, is your name Spartan GTR, Spartan Guitar, or Spartan Gator? Just out of curiosity, so I know what to call you. I could just keep saying Spartan. Up to you. If I, guitar, hey, that means I got it right the first time. I second-guessed myself. If I run .NET build, it says the build succeeded, but you don't see any executable of any sort. Oh, so, okay. Learning moment, for anyone who doesn't know how .NET Core works. Technically, yes, you are missing something, but it's only because it's confusing. So Microsoft changed the game on you. And I will show you what's happening. So, when I build this project, let's take a look at what actually gets built. And I will show you that. So, if I open up this file in Project Explorer, I go over here, and I open up bin, and I open up debug. So we're inside the web project. You'll see that it does .NET Core App 2.1, so that's the version of .NET Core we're running. And then inside of here, it spits it out. Now, as I've mentioned to anybody that I've told about how web projects work in .NET Core, there is a program.cs and a static void main method. So what that means, the like mind-blowing moment here, is that Microsoft actually changed the way that our web projects work. So a web project in .NET Core is now actually a console application that runs a website. So that's like a huge change, is that there's a new way of running this, like down to the very, foundation of how it runs. So that's really neat. Hey Rexy, welcome. Okay, so that would mean, as Spartan is implying, that there should be an executable to run when you run the bot. And Spartan can't find that. And if you look here, there isn't one. And the reason why is this. That file I've got highlighted right there. DevChatter.bot.web.dll. Run.net run. Yeah, so the idea is this. It's no longer an actual executable file. So let me show you. Wait, why didn't that? Oh, there it goes. Okay. So I have a PowerShell window open right here. I am going to kill the bot project. So the bot should not be running anymore. Just to confirm, I am going to try the hype command. So notice I typed in hype, nothing happened. It did not respond. Now for the next confirmation, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to refresh this page. And so the bot is not running. Okay. So, what you've seen me type in the past when I'm doing .NET Core projects is you've seen me type .NET build. And this builds the project, compiles it. You've also seen me say .NET run. And .NET run will build and run the file that I want to run. And so I do that at the project level. So I go up to the level of the solution or the project and I type in .NET build or .NET run. And that will build and or run the project depending on which one I ran, right? Okay. I don't want to run this command right here. I want to show you how you actually run .NET Code. Because I have not actually... So, I mean, I haven't lied to you. I just haven't shown you this yet because we haven't really needed to. And many of you might not know this. So this that I just typed in here. I apologize that text is kind of small. I don't want to mess with the font right now. All I did was I pasted in the... whoops, apparently I pasted it in twice. That is the name of our DLL that it built. So that is the web DLL. That's our web project right there. When we built it, it compiles into that DLL. I forget if I... Actually, to be fair, I do forget if I need that DLL on the end or not, but I'm going to run it. Wait, did I hit enter? I think I hit enter. Okay, yeah, there it goes. Now, that may throw an exception, but it should have run the code. Your request failed on something. Refresh to client ID was not... Oh! when I run it over here, it doesn't use my user secrets file. Pro tip. So that's why it bombs out there. So it didn't use my user secrets file because I literally ran it here. So when you run .NET build or .NET run, that's actually a development environment command. It knows that you're running in development. That's not a deployed version. So if I wanted to actually run .NET Core code on my on another machine somewhere that's not running the build, and it's running the .NET runtime, but not the .NET SDK. So remember that the runtime is just for running .NET Core code. The SDK is for building it. If I just have the runtime, I can use .NET and the DLL that I want to execute, and that runs it. It's not an exe file, it's a DLL right now. And so that's the huge change. When I put this out there for a web project, I can do something different, but if I just want to run it, whether it's a console app or a web app or whatever, I can just, point my thing and just say, hey, yeah, run that DLL, run that DLL. The user secrets file that I'm using, that is for development, so that's why that didn't work there and everything blew up. So in that spot, if I just want to execute that DLL, I need to do a full package and deployment of the project. So that's a slightly different step. I want to publish, deploy that project. I have separate files, and I actually need to change the app settings. So I would need to modify this file up here that I just highlighted in Explorer, and actually put the stuff in there, because that is this one just has the word secrets instead of actually having the connections to Twitch in there. So that's actually why that didn't work. But yeah, that's the explanation of what is actually going on there. So yep, Spartan. Hope does that make sense, Spartan? I think I got your question there pretty well. Felt like I did, but if I missed something on that, let me know, and I will try to clarify a little better. Because all right, so first things first, I want to get everybody's attention with one of these hype in the chat. Our hype command, I'm a big fan of now. It's got bouncing emotes. I think it's pretty good. Couple of other things that I want to mention. Our code is out on GitHub at github.com/devchatter, and I really want to suggest to people that you join our Discord here for DevChatter, because there are a whole bunch of developers that are in there. I mean, literally hundreds of developers are in our Discord, and you can chat with us about pretty much any kind of coding thing you want. There's a language you're interested in? Talk to people about it. You got questions about some library you just found? It's a good spot to chat. There are a bunch of us, and the conversations are good so far. It's a nice, friendly community where people don't get ridiculed for asking, the quote stupid question, right? It's it's welcoming, and if you don't know something, hey, guess what? There's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things all of us don't know. That's why we talk to each other. Janiscu, now that there is gift subbing in Twitch, community gift subbing is a thing, so hype would be cool for it. Yeah, Janiscu, are you talking about like what do you I guess I'm wondering what you mean there, Janiscu, but yeah, community gift subbing is a thing, so people can gift subs to channels. It's quite nice. Okay, so a couple of other things. I do want to mention to everybody, so we have a video section here on our channel where we actually have recordings of all of our videos. That's where they go right after we do a live stream. But Twitch only keeps them for a set amount of time. I forget what that is. Maybe it's like 30, 60 days, something like that. So if you do miss those, what you want to do is, if you want to see any of our older stuff, go to YouTube. That is actually where we keep our archive. I just linked to that in chat. It's youtube.com/c/devchatter, and that's where you can find all of the videos that we have archived that are the old, earlier DevChatter videos. So if you want to see how our project started, how we got them going, how we refactored to the designs that we built and are using today, that is a great place to do it. Suzuna, hey, welcome. You've been looking at console all day and saying connected. Well, hey, Suzuna, glad you're here. I need to do a TwitchLib upgrade at some point. I know I told you guys that at one point that I was planning on doing that at some point. Whether you guys are here or not doesn't really matter. But I figured I'd let you know. I'll be diving into that. So if we run into anything on... I'll probably do it on stream. So if we run into anything while we are upgrading TwitchLib... And, Shibak? Is my guess on the name, but welcome, thanks for following. Yeah, if we run into anything, I will definitely yell at you guys, and I will probably make sure I do some kind of mention over in TwitchLib to let you guys know. So for anybody who is wondering, I'm going to throw Suzuna out there to the wolves right now, and mention that one of the projects that we actually do is... So one of the things we do is our bot is actually connected out to the Twitch API and the Twitch chat. And the way we do that is through a library called TwitchLib. And TwitchLib has some maintainers that are nice enough to keep it running and up to date as Twitch changes the API and everything. And it's actually built in C#, helps us out. And Suzuna is one of the maintainers of that. So there are a bunch of contributors, of which I think it's like you, Swifty Spiffy, and a handful of others. Yeah, so... 923 commits, so Spiffy's done a lot of committing. That's impressive. But anyway, yeah, so Suzuna's pretty awesome. So the whole TwitchLib community is pretty awesome. So, oh, yes, Lucky Number 7 is another one. And we've actually, so I've hosted it, Lucky Number 7 before, but I've never rated him. I don't know if he's streaming right now. Let's see, other stuff people say, just you're refactoring your webbing R project. Oh, Kenshi, hello, welcome. How good is .NET for finding a job? So it depends on where you are. And Kenshi, my suggestion for you, learn C#, .NET, and JavaScript. So learn both of them, because I don't see C# and .NET, and specifically .NET Core, disappearing for a long time. There are plenty of jobs, plenty of companies maintaining code bases in them, and plenty of new stuff. And JavaScript is also a growing place where there's more and more work for them. So the other thing that I'll tell you, Kenshi, since you are just coming out of college and are looking at getting into the software development job market, one of the big things, one of the big secrets, you don't have to stick to one language. So my programming career, I did not start with C#. That was not the first language that I was using when I was programming. And I switched to C#, and I have loved it ever since. And I've also started using JavaScript more than I did in the earlier parts of my career as well. So the big suggestion is don't lock yourself into something. Language isn't the big thing. Learn new stuff. You'll change languages, you'll change frameworks as you go along. So be ready for that. But you'll want to look at what types of companies are around you. So in my area, there are a lot of .NET jobs. There are a lot of non-.NET jobs as well. There are plenty in Java, plenty in Python, plenty in Ruby. There are PHP jobs. It really comes down to what you want to build, what languages you like. But just confirm for your area that there are those types of jobs. Obviously I don't know where you are, so I can't say that for sure. But you find pockets of specific stuff. So one city north of me, for example, is much more heavily into... Oh, you're in Austin? Oh, there's mass tons of C# and .NET in Austin, Kenshi. Plenty. Tons. I've worked for Austin-based companies. I've been down there plenty. I know a lot of them. But the idea is, the big thing there is, don't lock yourself into a language. Even if a company is hiring for a specific language, you can learn a new language easily. And I'll say that to anybody in the chat, you can all learn a new language. I know it's a mildly daunting thing, but the part that makes you valuable as a developer is not your knowledge of a language. It is your knowledge, your thinking, your creativity, your problem solving, your communication with other people. Your knowledge of a language is not what gets you a job, and is not what helps you maintain it either. Lucky number 7 schedule is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So no, he's not. Thank you for the heads up. Spartan. Language doesn't really matter. As long as you know how to demonstrate something well, you can do it in any language. Exactly, Spartan. It's just learning the new tech. Speaking of Golang, we got a concept in C# that's inspired by Golang. Didn't know about the system threading channels until recently. DePro, I like that name. How long have you been a developer, and what's the salary with your experience in Austin? Okay, so that is a... So I have a good amount of experience. I used to work as what the heck was my title? Principal software engineer at a consulting firm that's based in Austin. Salaries vary depending on the type of company you work for more than anything else. So your amount of experience is going to change it, but well-experienced developers so even moderately experienced developers in the Austin area are going to be making six figures easily at most companies. Austin is an expensive city to live in, so you have to pay your developers reasonably well. But some of the other ones can. But if you've got a good amount of experience, you're going to be somewhere in mid to high, like 1 to 200,000. You'll be somewhere in there. If you're working in that area. You're also going to have really expensive everything, but hey, what are you going to do? Expensive cities. I don't live in Austin, though. I live in Ohio, so I am well north of Austin. I like the cold, so I like nice cold weather, cold air. It's much nicer. I am not friends with the sun. I am a developer. This light that is on me was once natural. There's a window right there. That window is covered up, so I don't let the sun touch me. We don't like that thing. I swear it's trying to kill me. I was playing a game of Mario a long time ago, and the sun was flying around and like swinging down and trying to murder me. And we've been enemies ever since. I was just kidding. Okay, so. Yeah, that's right, S&B. I am, in fact, a vampire. Has anyone seen me in daylight? I don't know. Okay, so Mazel95. Do I have any experience with Vala? No, I do not have any experience with that. No problem, DePro. So I will tell you, salaries will vary a lot. So in my area, for example, I could go out and get a dev job for someone like there are some companies where someone with my level of experience is going to make 60 grand, and that is it, and that's all the company can afford. And they're going to hire someone that just wants to, not be up on tech, not have a stressful job, and just sit back, relax, and easy, and whatever. I could go out and I could work for a financial firm, and I could make 3 times what that guy makes easily in the same city. So it really comes down to what you're looking for, what kind of company, what type of work. If you're in the tech space, you can usually get the tech or the finance or healthcare space, you can usually wield a higher salary. So if money's your big thing, you can go for that. The best developer jobs I've ever had, though, were not ones where I was paid a lot. They were actually the ones where I was paid less good. So the money was not the factor. That's not what I liked there. The companies that I like working for put a lot of money into training their employees. They get us the right tools for the job. They make sure there's fun things and activities going on. So we would have gaming events after work where we could hang out. We had tables outside where we could go work outside when we wanted to. So yes, I like the cold. But I can sit in the shade and write some code while I drink a nice cool drink. It's fantastic. So there's a lot of nice things like that. And I've worked with companies where every developer on the team was really passionate about learning and writing good code and solving good problems for their customers. And that just really makes it a fun experience. So there's so much more than that. But you can find variance in all that stuff. Okay, so let me catch up on this. I said to be a robot the other day in Discord. Yeah, being a robot's good. How much do you have to work as a developer there? I mean, are you doing more than 40 hours a week? It depends on the company you work for. The one I worked for in Austin, we were a consulting firm, and we worked 40 hours a week. So I tracked my time for that company, and I was, I get in at the beginning of the day, I start up a timer, I turn it off when I end the day, and we were expected to have 40 hours a week. They were okay if we went over that, but one of the problems with organizations that track their time like that is you basically set it up so that your employees are gonna track their time as well and leave after 40 hours, because if you're going to force me to be there, I'm not going to give you extra either, because then that means you don't get those balancing of like, well, sometimes I'm leaving early, so yeah, I can stick late sometimes because you let me leave early sometimes. It's like, you set up a bad relationship with your employees when you do that. What's your opinion on startups? Are they good as a first-time job, or stick with the bigger and known ones? So Kenshi, I have worked for small companies. Some of them can be good. If you are going to go and work for a small company, startup or otherwise just small, find out who the developers are that are there. See if they've got a name. One of the big things, because you mentioned .NET, is look for Microsoft MVPs. So the Microsoft MVP community they're the community connected individuals that are out there speaking, and they're often blogging, or they're doing some other type of community connection, community outreach, that sort of thing. They are the independent experts that Microsoft awards this to. So I was a Microsoft MVP for a number of years, so a lot of the people that would come to work with me are then getting to work with a guy that is engaging the community, and that helps them grow their career. So if you're going to go to a small organization, try to find one that has people that are connected to the community, because you need to remember, you're trying to build your career at the start. You're trying to make connections. You want to meet other people. You want to learn the cool things to do. So people that are going to encourage you to blog about stuff, people that are going to encourage you to go to conferences, user groups, stuff like that, and help you get to those and find out which ones exist. That's the kind of thing that you really want to do. And as SNV brings up, I noticed in chat, is I need to reschedule with Cassandra, because we ended up getting a scheduling conflict and she couldn't join us. So there's a community outreach expert, is a great way of describing her. And I was going to have her on stream last Thursday, but a scheduling conflict she had to cancel, so we're going to move her to another day. And we're going to bring her on to chat with us about how to engage the developer community, which is a huge thing for people that are just starting their career. Seriously, one of the best things for me in starting my career is that I was connected to, not right at the beginning, but pretty early on in my career, I started getting connected to other people that had a lot of connection within the community, and that, basically is a driver for me to do the same kind of thing. So my best suggestion for you, if you're going to work at a small company, make sure that you still connect to the community, because the danger of going to a small organization is that you get blinders and you look only at the tech that your company does. And then once you're locked into just the tech that your company does, you don't see what else is going on in the community. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, I've been working for 10 years on, ASP.NET web forms. Oh, yeah, I always see stuff about that MVC thing, but I never learned it. And, oh, now I need to move to a new city. Is anybody... No one's hiring web forms people anymore? They're all hiring MVC. Well, crap. I don't know anything about that. And so the problem isn't that the developer got the blinders on and it worked on... the problem isn't that you worked on web forms for 10 years. That's okay. It's not a problem for a business to stick with a tech that's working for them, especially when they have a large code base they need to maintain. It's difficult for them to afford to move. So you as a developer need to at least be watching. And thanks for the follow there, Kenshi. But as a developer, you need to be paying attention to the rest of what's going on in the developer community so you can see, oh, that's the trend. We're moving towards that. Okay, I can learn a little bit about that and know what's going on. That way, when you're like, oh, I might need to move it, so, you can at least be looking at it. And also, your company might at some point have the chance to transition. And you could say, hey, you know what? I've been trying out MVC. I think that would be a good candidate to do for our next project, and then you then can become the leader doing that project if you want, or someone else is maybe going to be the leader. It's up to you. Some people don't like leading, but then you could follow along on that and be like, yeah, no, I would love to dive in with that, and then work on that part. So lots of cool stuff there. Either way, a couple of things that I do want to mention really quickly, because I do want to wrap up here. All of our code is out there on GitHub, so if you want to check out any of it, go to github.com/devchatter. Also, if anybody is interested in chatting with the rest of us, check out our Discord. We have, that's a chat application, so there are a bunch of developers, like 150, there's at least 150 developers that are in our Discord, so you can actually, oh, that's really cool. So you can actually chat with a bunch of other developers over in our Discord. I should give a big shout out to C# Fritz. I didn't know that he had tweeted about this stream. I'm really glad he did. But C# Fritz is pretty awesome. He's another developer that does a Twitch stream, so feel free to check him out. Other things to mention. Down below you can find information about other things related to the stream if you want to check stuff out. There's a bunch of panels down below. There are also videos up above. There's a link to videos section above the stream, which you can find Twitch, right up here. So the videos section right here. So this is all the videos that are recently recorded here on the stream. So you can actually check those out as well. So if you want to see our past streams, this is a great place to do it. So you can check those out. And greatly appreciate all the follows, everybody. In addition, if you don't find the video on here, because if I scroll all the way down to the bottom of this, you'll see it only goes back to May 12th. We have videos older than that. You can actually find our older videos over on our YouTube channel, which is over here at youtube.com/c/devchatter. And this is our YouTube channel right here. It has a bunch of other videos related to stuff. This is sorted into playlists, so if you just want to see the stuff related to our chatbot, you can do that, for example, or you just want to see the ones where I was pair programming with someone, you could do that as well. And so that is where all of those archives live. I mentioned that there are panels down below the stream with information about me, as well as some links to stuff. Times that we stream, there's a couple of things for schedule, ways that you can support the channel if you want to support DevChatter and make this channel better. There's a link to our Discord, Twitter, our projects, some books I recommend reading, other things like that. And if you're wondering what the music is we're listening to, I've got information about that as well. Oh, and links to any upcoming conference talks that I'm giving. So if you do want to catch me live, that is a fantastic way to do it. You can actually attend the conferences where I will be speaking. And I noticed a couple of people said stuff in chat. And thanks everybody for the follows. Suzuna, because I'm working a lot with the Twitch API and Twitch chat, if you got any things that you want to give feedback about, don't mind doing Twitch related, not Twitch lib, although I also take Twitch lib feedback. Oh. Suzuna, do you actually do something related to Twitch? Verizian, and I apologize if I butchered that name. What would you say is the easiest job to get into as a developer? I'm caught between learning C# because I want to make games and doing the free code camp course that gives a full stack certification. Yeah, so feel free to check the panels below, Janiscu. Verizian, there are a lot of jobs that you can get into pretty easily in terms of development. Probably one of the jobs that's most common out there right now is web developer jobs. So if you're learning C#, I would recommend you pick up .NET Core and the web development side of things. You're welcome to check out other things as well, but web development is one of the easiest ways to get in. If you specifically want to make games, then I would recommend you do some side projects on your own in game development and start looking for entry-level jobs at those companies and look at what they want, regardless of the gaming stuff. So here's my recommendation. if you want to get into that, now I don't work at those game companies, but I do know that they're often difficult to get into. So you can try to go straight for the gaming job, or you could do one of the other ones. So, for example, if you've ever run like Overwatch or Heroes of the Storm or any other Blizzard stuff, you know that there's a Blizzard client that actually opens up first. So there's that. All of these companies also have web pages, and so those are sort of ways of like getting in the door potentially, if you have trouble just getting in straight on game development, which obviously go for the thing you're passionate about first. But if you have trouble, you could always try getting into the door at the company by taking another route, and maybe it'll work. I don't know. I didn't go the gaming route. Suzuna, you're always on the hunt for feedback. Oh, okay, cool, yeah. You're making a refactor because of the new expansion for WoW coming. That's kind of funny, Janiscu. And yes, as Bokyo mentioned, C# and Unity are very good, so a lot of gaming companies really do build stuff in C# and Unity. So if you are interested in getting into gaming, check those out, learn them, and that's why I recommend you learn the other... that's why I recommend you learn the web stuff for C#. Yeah, C# and .NET is a good solution. There are jobs for C# and .NET developers all over the world, so it's a relatively good place for that. Orc Tamer, I have no idea what you're talking about. There you go, Suzuna. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, so I mentioned a handful of things. Oh yes, our bot has recorded your name. Sorry, Orc Tamer. Wait, coins. Orc Tamer. How many coins? You have 6 coins. See, the bot's keeping track of you. Okay, so we mentioned all that stuff. We got through that. We mentioned that. So anyway, if you want to catch our next stream, make sure to click the follow button to get alerted about that. Our code is out on GitHub. Join our Discord to chat to us more. You can find me on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitter at Brandonius. There's panels with other information. Our schedule can be found by either asking our bot or checking the panel down below. And our next stream will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's like, what, like 6 p.m. UTC, so 1800 UTC, for anyone who is wondering. And other than that, I am going to roll the credits. Because why not roll the credits? Because we don't do that very often here. Where are the credits? Credits. That should roll the credits. There we go. Hey. So, thanks for supporting the stream, everybody. Pimplack, thank you for the cheers. Me, for being a moderator. S&B Greendolf, thank you for helping us moderate today. A whole bunch of people followed today, so thank you all for that. Anybody else that's in there that hasn't clicked the follow button, I recommend you do so now so you can catch our next stream. And other than that one, I am going to take my leave. And it was fun, everybody. I greatly appreciate you all hanging out, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So it is only, what, 21 hours away. So take care, and happy coding, everybody. Bye.
I always do this when I'm first putting on just so I can see.